Hi everyone, this is Koinzell here, and today we have the Shinobu Math Guide 2, where we'll look at Iron Sting for her, which is the craftable F2P weapon. And we will also explore different artifact builds for her, as you can see here, HP, healing bonus, and EM. We now have EM permutation as well, full EM, double EM, single EM, etc. Now, other than all of this that you are seeing here, I will also talk about the following. We talk about Shinobu being in Yelan Taser because previously Math Guide 1 was really focusing on explaining her kit, and whatever figures you saw there were solo figures. Now I'm going to include the Kazuha, Raiden, and Yelan buffs in. Well, not exactly Yelan's buffs, but if you have C4 effect maybe, which is here. Okay, so we will have an EM versus HP and artifact builds comparison. We will also have an EM versus damage comparison with the C4 Yelan effect, and obviously when I do artifact build comparison, we will have the damage comparison, we will have the heal comparison as well. And following that, there will be the TLDR and what's coming next for Shinobu. So as shared in the Shinobu Math Guide 1, right, I'm gonna do like 3 Shinobu Math Guides this week before we move on to resuming on Yelan Math series, which will likely be about the latest updates, because there are some changes that I have not updated across all my math guides for Yelan yet. I'm actually waiting for the beta to end, which will end today actually, on 27th of April. But I'll just wait a little longer. By the time the Yelan video this week is ready, the beta will have ended, so that there are any other changes is going to come with the live version. Okay, if there are any other changes. Typically so far not yet. So that's that. And it would be interesting to talk about her changes, but the changes really are for Dolphins or Wheels, because one of it is on C3 and the other is on C6. So if you intend to get her on C0, then the updates aren't that important to you. Okay, now that we finished the side tracking on what's gonna come this entire week, let's talk about Shinobu in Yelan Taser. Okay, we'll compare Shinobu HP versus EM permutations. For details on the rotation, ER, etc., please refer to Yelan Math Guide 5, because I've already done the entire rotation and ER and damage figures, etc., all over there. Now let's look at EM versus HP in terms of artifact builds comparison in terms of the damage first. So this is the total damage. Okay, this is the percentage difference, and the comparison is done for full EM build versus the others. No red figures imply that full EM provides you the highest damage in this comparison. Okay, now I also included the 20% HP threshold, so you know that when you are maintaining a 20% HP threshold where your HP lies. Although to be fair, when you do a E followed by Q, your E should proc once before you switch out your Shinobu, which means that she will typically get slightly more than this amount of HP, maintaining herself at that range. Okay, and you'll see that the EM values are very varied, because we are getting EM as the secondary substat. The first primary substat is obviously HP percentage. Here in the HP support build, it's only when we can no longer get any more HP percentage rolls, then we start trying to get EM, which is why you see that the EM value is as such, or rather the EM values are as such. And obviously we have a high EM for the full EM build. Okay, now the very important thing I want to say here is that the EC procs are only assumed to be only 100% Shinobus when her Q is active, because of how her Q works. There are so many ticks. Okay, but when only her E is active, it's only 25%, which means that I assume that of her E proc doing the procs, every 4 procs there's only once that she procs EC. So I'll say it's a very conservative or pretty conservative estimate due to the nature of EC. You can't really control. It is very hard to control who is the one that procs EC. You will see this in the Kokomi EC test that I've done. So if you want, you can reference to those videos, and I'll put in a link to that in the in-video links as well as the description below. So I hope you guys know that this is already a very conservative estimate. Okay, we are really assuming worst case, almost worst case scenario where it's only 25% of her E proc doing the procs. For her Q, since it hits continuously for that long period, right? I think it's safe to assume that it's 100% Shinobu's. More or less. There may be still some variance, but it's fine for the math. So with team buffs thrown in, plus dropping CR for EM with Irons, because remember we were using Favonius in Math Guide 1, so now I no longer need CR. For Favonius, I can drop CR and get EM, along with using Ironstein. We now have better damage figures, enough such that casting her Q is not overall DPS loss, in terms of your overall team damage or team DPS. Now, full EM obviously has the best damage, even with only 25% of E procs. But it has the worst 20% HP constellation threshold across the constellations. Almost the worst, sorry. EM HP is even worse. Yeah. Almost the worst. But at this stage, right, it's really a little too perilous or dangerous. It's a little bit too low, to be honest. Now, HP actually performs, actually starts to perform better than EM HP, which is here. So I'm talking about the full HP comp being better than the hybrid comp. For lack of a better term, hybrid comp, because there's one EM sense here, one HP goblet here, and a healing bonus circlet here. You'll see that for TOTM is performing better. The smaller the percentage, the closer they are to full EM performance. Okay? But to be honest, if you look at the absolute difference in terms of the numbers, right, they are quite small, especially if you consider the entire team DPS or team damage. So it's actually a very small difference when considering the overall team DPS. No, upfront to you guys, the full EM being the highest damage here doesn't really make much of a difference when we are talking about, say, something like 10k difference between full EM versus double HP with healing bonus circlet, which obviously is the highest focus on heals. It's only a 10k damage difference, and that 10k is in your entire rotation. So that's why I said it doesn't really matter. But let's look at the heals, yeah? Okay, so these are the heals that we have, the healing amount. Okay, obviously, with the healing bonus circlet, it's a bit different. You can see from here. We are comparing the highest heal, which is the double HP with healing bonus circlet, against the rest of the permutations here. You'll see that obviously when you have healing bonus circlet, they fall off lesser. When you don't have healing bonus circlet, they'll fall off more. And when you don't even have HP, like in full EM, your heals are very low. You can see here, it's 3k heals at C0. Pretty tough, to be honest, 3k heals. Even if Shinobu has a higher heal frequency than someone like Kokomi, for example. It's still a little too low, in my opinion. But double HP with healing bonus circlet, you do get 4.2k, which is above the 4k minimum I was talking about in Math Guide 1. And if you go below the 50% HP threshold, you heal even more. In fact, at C6, the highest amount you can get is 5.6k, which is pretty nice, right? 5.6k is already a good amount, especially if you consider the higher frequency of heals that she has. Now, but the most important thing, honestly speaking, is that the damage difference is too small. In terms of absolute damage difference on the team DPS per se. So yeah, like I said, full EM has the lowest heals, HP healing bonus circlet has the best heal. At C0, 4.2k to 4.7k, full EM is only 3 to 3.4k, which is too low. So in the end, which build you prefer is up to you, up to your focus on damage or heals. But taking into consideration the small damage difference, and also more importantly, The reason why I show the 20% threshold HP is also because you need to take into consideration the 20% HP threshold. Look at full EM versus healing HP healing bonus circlet. This is almost 9k, which is very manageable. Okay, having 9k HP current HP on your Shinobu doesn't means that she wouldn't die in one hit. Let me put it that way. But for full EM at 6.4k, there are attacks that can really kill you in one hit. So that's food for thought, right? That's one important thing to consider. I absolutely love this BGM, by the way. This is Real Son, the Zerumi Island. And also, we should prioritize heals on the healer, right? When you're doing using someone like Shinobu. So personally, I would recommend HP healing bonus circlet. Like I say, 8.8k HP at 20% HP is very manageable as opposed to 6.4k HP. I know it's not much of a difference, but that difference happens to be whether you get one shot by a heavy attack or high damage attack. Now, bear in mind, my HB permutation has 365 EM without C6 effect from Irons, without C6 effect, without Ironstein. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase this. Without C6 effect and from Ironstein and artifacts. So basically, you do need to get a little bit of EM when you are doing HP healing bonus circuit. 5 base EM rolls plus 5 upgrades, so total 5 rolls. Okay. Total 10 rolls if you want to include the base rolls. But it's 5 base rolls plus 5 upgrades. So that's the target to go for, 365 EM with a double HP healing bonus circuit. And obviously, you need to go for as much of the HP percentage substats on your healing bonus circlet as well as your flower and feather, since you can't get HP percentage from flat HP, right? Straightforward stuff, really. Okay. And obviously you get flat HP because you don't need CRCD, so you're going for HP percentage, EM, flat HP. You don't really need ER in a Yelan Taser comp if you have seen my Yelan Math Guide 5 for Shinobu anyway. So yeah, that's why the stats are as such. Now let's look at with C4 effect. So with C4 Yelan, the damage difference for Shinobu across the artifact builds are pretty much the same, right? In fact, it's even smaller if I were to look at the highest damage potential. If I look at C0, then yeah, it's about 10 plus K difference. If we look at C0 here, it's about the same. Yeah, it's about the same. Not much of a diff, to be honest. But it's because C4 Yelan does not give you a significant damage boost in these comps. Because number one, the HP builds here are not DPS focused. The EM builds are using EM for their damage per se, so the C4 Yelan doesn't really help that much. More importantly is that you don't have crit stats, so the C4 Yelan is not going to help you that much. She does, however, improve the 20% HP threshold here, as you can see, by almost 1k, which is very nice because at the HB permutation, it's almost 10k HP. No, 10k HP at a 20% HP threshold is very nice. It's very manageable. You don't even need to heal your Shinobu if that's the case. Besides, when you use E followed by Q, you will receive 1 healing tick. And if you saw the healing, how much was it? It was 4k to 4.2 to 5.6k. So 4.2k add-on is about 14k. It's fine. Manageable. Very, very nice. HP threshold wise anyway. Now let's look at the heals with C4 Yelan. Alright, in fact I shouldn't use the 4.2k to 5.6k. It should be the heals here, which is 5k to 6.1k. So the difference across the builds are pretty much the same. But C4 Yelan's effect itself provides a pretty decent boost to your heals, where the best artifact combination for HP support build here is double HP with healing bonus, or even against the EM builds. I would recommend this. So it hits 5k at C0 and 6k at C6. C6k will be definitely on par with existing healers, because you gotta remember that not just the healing amount, she also heals more frequently than them. Right? She heals more frequently. So it might result in an overall slightly higher heal as well. But again, we are using C4 of 5-star for her to hit such amounts, so yeah. I mean, technically speaking, my Kokomi does about 7 to 8k heals. So 7 to 8k times 6 is about 48k. 6k times 8, also about 48k. So that's why I would say she's almost matching. Obviously, if you have C2, then you heal almost 60k with this. So you actually heal even more than Kokomi. Assuming your Kokomi is 8k. Within that 12 seconds. To be fair, it's 12 seconds. So let's compare 12 seconds, then I'll say it's on par. It's 48k and 48k. So let's go on to the TLDR. Yeah, Shinobu math guide is going to be much simpler than Yelan. So taking into consideration the small damage difference, the 20% HP threshold, how manageable it is, and the priority on heals for a healer, I would recommend double HP with a healing bonus circlet rather than the EM builds. But bear in mind, we do have 365 EM on our double HP healing bonus circlet. This is without the C6 effect. Shinobu C6, this is without Shinobu C6. And just from INST and artifacts, you get like 5 EM base roll, 5 upgrades, and you'll get 365 EM. That's how our damage is able to be very competitive with the full EM build. Now, one thing to remember is that I'm very conservative on the full EM build in terms of how many procs that Shinobu actually does. We are only assuming 25% of her E procs, not even 25% every second. Okay? But it's because of the RNG nature of EC, so it's not reliable to calculate it as 100% other than during her Q, where she's doing so many ticks consistently within that duration. So if you need more details on the different permutations what we have been comparing here, what are the results, etc., please refer to the actual comparison section itself for the details. Now, since damage for Shinobu is already low to begin with, Yelan C4 effect's main advantage would really be the higher 20% HP threshold as well as the better heals. In fact, C4 Yelan allows her to hit 5k heals at C0 and 6k heals at C6 with double HP healing bonus, which is more or less on par with existing healers. Okay, to make things easier, right, let me just add the portion about her frequency of heals, right? 6k asterisk 6 asterisk 8, no. 6 times 8 equal 48k in 12 seconds, similar to 8k times 6 in equal 48k in 12 seconds for Kokomi. In fact, 8k on Kokomi is, how should I put it? It's also a very stacked Kokomi in terms of getting a lot of HP percentage rolls. Okay? Now, to improve her heals and damage, we did drop Favonius. So it means that we also dropped her battery capability. So let's just put it this way, okay? This is only feasible if you have Raiden in team. If you don't have Raiden in team, don't even... I mean, you can bother with Iron Sling and stuff, it's just that you need to have stats into ER and upgrades into ER. That's one thing to consider. One last thing I want to say is, although I mentioned it here, but let me just specify it here. Her heals proc every 1.5 seconds for 8 times in 12 seconds, 10 times in 15 seconds at C2, while Kokomi procs every 2 seconds for 6 times. So Shinobu does have a more consistent and higher frequency of heals, even if it's lower. So like the best case scenario where we hit 6k on a C6 Shinobu with a C4 Yelan, you are able to match a C0 Kokomi. Yeah. So to be honest, I think she's performing average to slightly bad, even as a 4-star healer in once we've factored in a full comp kind of scenario. So my recommendation is still the same. I wouldn't recommend to pull for her unless she's together with a 5-star that you want. The only reason to pull for her is to fill the electro healer role, which will be the healer in a Hydro DPS Taser comp. i.e. there's no need to pull for her otherwise. So if you don't have Child, if you don't have Ayato, or maybe even Yelan, you don't really need to pull for her, because you wouldn't need that electro healer role in theory. you are okay with using a hydro healer like Barbara, Kokomi. Or you can pull for her to be used with Ito, because you realize that her kit actually fits perfectly well in a Ito Goro comp, right? Because Ito doesn't really need high healing, has very high defense. Goro needs that consistent proc that she has for the 100% uptime for Crystallize, and in turn extending his Q buff as well. If you have C2 Goro, if I didn't remember wrongly. So yeah, this is how she's performing right now. I mean, I'll still pull for her, but I may not even pull for C6 if she's not on a banner with, say, Yelan. If she's on a separate 5-star character rerun banner, and I already have C6 of that character, or I don't intend to get any more constellations of that 5-star character, I may not even try to get C6 on her. I may just stop at C2 or C3. Okay, so anyway, we still have one more build to explore, which is the Q-focus sub-DPS build. Well, I say Q-focus, but more like a sub-DPS build to be exact. I mean, Q still does the majority of the damage, but it's not like we neglect her E completely. Okay? So, yep, I hope today's video has been helpful to you guys in terms of understanding how Shinobu works with Ironstein and full EM builds, or even different EM permutation, having like 1 EM means the artifact versus 2 versus 3 EM means the artifacts. Okay, so Shinobu video series wise, we finished the Math Guide 1, we explained her kit, we finished the Ironstein here in today's video. Next will be the Q-focus sub-DPS build where we use PJC. And following that will be Ayato Tasercom and any other weapon comparison. But before I go to Ayato Tasercom, we will resume the Yelan series. We will resume the Yelan series first. We'll talk about the latest changes to Yelan, and also for me to add on 4-star weapons. I'm sure there are folks who are interested in the whole comparison between Favonius and Sacrificial. At a high level, I do have some analysis in my mind done on it, but I'll do the math for it, and I'm pretty interested to see how it fares as well. Okay, so thanks everyone for watching the video. Join me over at Twitch, where I answer almost every question there, especially if you have anything that you would like to ask me or you have specific math. You can also put it in the YouTube comments, but yeah, like I said, I can't promise that I will always be reading those because there's a lot. So the Twitch link is here and it's in the description as well. If you like the content, remember to like the video and click subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. Bye.